Jim Beerman's Beermageddon Festival 2016 on the Sunday, and at last, after many years, I have got the mighty Haerken with me. Yay!
Good to be here.
That it? That was not very exciting. Dear me. Right, should we try that again? The mighty Haerken.
Hey!
Yay! That's it.
Sure,
No prompting there. Right. So you were out of the loop playing for a while because you were after a new drummer.
Yes.
And I gather, there's now 4 of you, you must have a new drummer.
Well, we repatriated a rhythm guitarist.
Who happened to play party drums.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you learn it then? So we did.
Alright, that's one way of finding one.
Yeah, so introducing Stefan Mabkanunos
Yes.
of Death's Ridge.
That's the
So
name
yes,
I have.
it was literally just at a gathering. I'd known the guys for years, and it was just a throwaway comment. Oh, you know that you can play drums? Yeah, a little bit. Why don't you learn to play? Okay. So it's literally quite that.
That's the way to do it, especially if you've been looking for someone for a while and then you find someone. It's difficult, as we know drummers are very far and few between, and they're usually shared between many bands, so it's great to see the mighty Haerken back, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you later.
Especially, we don't need to get to know him either. He's already in the gang.
Yeah.
He's been loitering on the periphery for ages.
Years.
Years, literally, yeah. And then all of a sudden, there he was under our nose. Who knew?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. So what it came down to really was personality and work ethic
Yeah.
being the most important things about making any kind of musical endeavour work.
Excellent. So, tonight you are playing. What do you have in store for the good people of Beermageddon?
Well, as usual, we're trying to push the theatrical bar on what we do. Hence, we're already in costume and thinking about getting into character.
Thinking. Probably mad today.
You'll notice that we're not trying to interview in character today because, well, a couple of reasons. First of all, it's almost impossible to ad-lib in Elizabethan English.
Yes.
And second of all, because when we're out in costume but out of character, we can actually talk about the theatrics of what we do. We can talk about why we're in character, and that's good fun because as much as we're quite a serious band, we're quite tongue-in-cheek at the same time, and we're walking that line and really enjoying doing that.
Yeah.
And so all of these characters, they're sort of archetypal versions of ourselves. Almost.
That's who we want to be.
It's really good to see that you're back. So after today, what are you doing next?
Well, this is the first date on 2 months of touring,
Excellent.
right across the UK. All of the details.
Far north of Scotland.
Yeah. So if you live anywhere in between Glasgow and Bristol, you can probably come out and find us over the next couple of months.
Glasgow, Bristol, London, Reading as well.
Yeah, we've got London and Reading in there as well.
As well, in between.
Leeds. All over the place. How rude, isn't it? That's what phone ringing.
His phone is ringing.
Hello?
That is amazing.
It's a good job we weren't trying to be medieval, wasn't it?
Well,
Part of me wishes you'd set that on.
now you.
I'm really worried what he keeps in his phone because it makes strange noises.
Now you see. Now you know why the Scottish pronounce them bells.
Excellent. So, recording-wise, what's happening there?
Recording-wise, well, we're touring the first album
Yeah.
extensively for the first time, so we need to get that into hands. We need to get people singing along, and once we've done that, we've got some recordings planned, but we haven't set any dates yet.
Yeah. Just get out, be back out there amongst the people again.
Absolutely.
The record's been out for 2 years, and because of the drummer situation, we've never been. Because Austin was always going to go at some point. We just never knew when, so we couldn't really project any further than 3 months in the future, and it's really difficult to book any kind of
anything long
Yeah,
term.
you
No.
can really look
It's
to
a
the
long-term
future with
plan,
us.
so-
So yeah, the album's been out for 2 years. We're just launching it really now.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's call it a soft launch.
Yeah.
It's
There are still people, even though, like I say, 2 years ago it was released. There are hundreds of people who don't even know who we are
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we haven't been able to do it. But now,
well, there are people who know who we are that still haven't heard the album yet.
Yeah.
so
Which I have to say, and credit to Sympholian Productions, is one of the best sounding records I could have hoped to be part of.
Cheers, James.
Awesome.
Right. So I asked random questions, as you may know. My
Oh,
first
God.
one is: you're in a private jet. You have made it as the band. You're going to a big festival. You've got all your ales and things there, and you're having a good time. Then something happens to the pilots, and the plane starts to go down. You have one parachute, and then you find another. Who in the band would you save?
I'm waiting for Justin to go, me. I'll have both. Better to be safe than sorry.
I think that
Tandem dive.
Eh?
Can't you do a tandem
yeah,
dive?
Tandem, we win. Yeah.
We're all good.
One parachute. One parachute. Depends, you see. If we've got the crew as well, that means there's 6 of us.
Yeah, but they're not.
So
you know,
who do we say?
I
Are
don't
they not on
think
the
they were-
plane? Are they on another plane?
they something's happened to them. So
Something's happened to them. Are they safe?
no, they're probably dead. Actually, this is the point that we have to decide. So you
No,
have to-
I think John would be able to bring the plane in safely because he's quite technical.
It'd be in the air rewiring it as Justin's running up and down the cabin.
Oh, no,
His
it's gone,
arms
Between John and Sophie and Jonathan, I think the 3 of them could probably.
But
Put
they're
it
not
back
on the
together.
plane.
Well, there would be. Yeah, there would be.
Yeah, there may only be 4 of us.
Artistic license. If you're going to ask ridiculous questions, I'm going to.
There may only be 4 of us on camera, but there are 6 people in the band.
Yeah, that's fine. That is brilliant. Right, costumes. What gave you the idea to be the characters you are?
Well, that was an evolution, wasn't it? Really, we didn't kind of absolutely decide from the off. It was a the band.
Well, we
was
decided in
direct-
principle before we played a single note.
The band at its inception was a direct response to all the Scandinavian stuff that you find doing Viking stuff and whatever. And we didn't. Well, me and Ben, we didn't know any British bands that had come to any massive degree of success singing about Robin Hood and King Arthur. So that was kind of the aesthetic was decided around about then, and it's just kind of happened.
Yeah, so as we started to put those songs together and really play with that mythology, we thought, if we're going to convey this, with death metal, sometimes it's a little bit obtuse, it's hard for people to get into, but if you put on stage something that absolutely tells people what you're about, then you're connecting with that aesthetic straight away. So we thought, well, let's do it. If you're going to do it, don't half-arse it. Go in
People
whole.
can guess what we're going to sing about, can't they? By looking
Just by looking at us.
Yeah, the aesthetic gives it away a little bit. So yeah.
So
they're all kind of, like we said at the beginning, they're all kind of caricatures of ourselves. It's you know, if we were alive back in the day, I like to think that I would be
who you are now, who you portray today.
Yeah. And
and likewise,
I would quite happily be a chaplain to the metal community.
Right.
That's how I feel. So if anyone wants to talk rubbish at me,
be prepared
just
for rubbish to be talked back to you.
but without judgment.
So it seems you've got a 5th and 6th member of the band.
There's one here.
One's floating.
One here, and there can be. You know, let's squidge up a little
Squidge
bit.
up. Let's all squidge up. Get her in.
Jonathan is somewhere else, unfortunately. So we'll have a Jonathan representative.
Go on, Pabs.
Come on, Pabs.
Come on,
You can be Jonathan.
Right.
Pretend for a brief minute.
I don't know how many we'll get in, but we'll squeeze up and see how
Squeeze
we
up,
do.
man.
Come round.
Squeeze it.
There we go.
Go back. Go back.
I'm on.
Come back. I'll tell you what. If you come back this way, and I'll just squat on it like this.
To me.
We were on
Hopefully, we'll have as many of you in as possible. Yay! Right. So, 5th and 6th member, Sophie and Standing.
Sophie and not Jonathan.
That's going to be the new one.
Not Jonathan.
Not Jonathan.
Not Jonathan.
Right.
This in fact is Paul from Rannoch. who
Right.
was,
I thought I recognised the
a
face.
loyal follower.
Oh yes. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes. So, Sophie, I'll ask then, because you are here, how did you get involved with Haerken then?
I knew Jonathan before.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Not Jonathan.
And he mentioned that he was working with a band and they were doing a gig last year at the O2 in Birmingham, and that they may need a second member of crew. And he'd have a word with them and ask them if they'd be happy having a second member of the crew, so that we had one sound person, one lighting person.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started.
Right.
That's where we are today now.
We are really lucky as a band actually to have people that are, both of them are technically brilliant, and they really, really know their stuff. They're both working professionally,
Changed our world.
and usually charge a damn sight more than we pay them, which is nothing.
So, if no other bands get any ideas, it will cost.
Then again, if you make it, I'm sure you'll be able to pay her a little bit in the future.
I dare say they'll be getting paid before we are.
Yeah.
Yes,
That was-
that is how it's going to happen.
Yeah. Excellent. So, you've got this tour this year. What have you sort of got in planning or thinking of doing for next year now? Because what we're in near the end of August already.
We're starting to plan for next year. We've got some ideas. Nothing that we're prepared to talk about just yet,
Yeah,
I think.
that's fine.
We're allowed to talk about it.
This tour is more about getting us back on the map again, isn't
Yeah.
it? Getting us out there, showing people that we're out and about. So it's really, it's a fact-finding tour, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like where do we stand? Where does the scene stand?
Yeah.
Since everybody that was around when I started putting my contact list together has retired pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. And just kind of going around, seeing what's happening around the UK, see what's happening around the underground metal scene really as a whole. Just trying to get people hearing of us, seeing what we're about, and then we can start showing them something towards the latter parts of last year into the new year really, I think, isn't it really? It's just trying to gauge everything so we can move forward then.
Yeah, and really sort of fine tuning the production that we're putting together, which is why Sophie's on board. That's why Jonathan's on board, because they help us.
Not Jonathan.
they help. They've really helped us to raise the bar on what we do.
Yeah.
And come in looking slick and
Yeah.
and really bringing out the theatrics of what we want to get across. It's been really important.
Yeah. One of the hot topics people are talking about at the moment is pay to play. Or do you think it's a good thing, bad thing, or are you sort of indifferent to
Pay us to play anywhere.
I
I don't think that's exactly what it means.
No, it's the other way around, where
Yeah.
you pay people, venues, or pay to go on tours.
It happens.
I'm trying to think of a polite way to word it.
No. That's the answer.
There isn't a polite way to.
isn't.
There isn't a polite way to word it. It's criminal.
No.
Okay, if we're already making a loss. If you think that we're going to cover your costs as well as our own, you're nuts.
Well,
I don't mind if we travel somewhere and we play and don't receive it, but to pay to go somewhere. There's already a fuel cost. There's already perhaps an overnight cost. There's already plenty of costs already before you actually get to the venue. Why again then would you want to pay? Surely we're the people with the goods. If anyone needs paying,
I think the
apart from the crew.
I think the one bit is as well is that the industry nowadays, it doesn't really nurture anybody, does it? You know what I mean? Like you've got bands who come through, and they, like your Evil Scarecrows and whatnot like that, and yet if they want to go on tour somewhere and have a big name support, they're still
Out cold.
they're out cold. They've still got to pay a buy-on fee to get onto those tours. And it's quite a shame that really that the industry doesn't recognise that actually that's the new blood that's coming through, and that's what should be nurtured, and actually giving them the space to do that. But then you're reading in articles and stuff like that UK's metal scene's dying a death, and that just puts everybody off.
It's sad, isn't it?
Once you start,
it's sad that people even think that.
Yeah, because
they obviously don't.
It's absolutely not. It's absolutely not true.
Probably no idea that this place even exists.
Yeah.
Conducive.
No.
it's
The music media, that's got a bit stale.
Yeah, it's akin to the BBC, isn't it? Really.
The problem is a lot of them attend the big events like Download, Swansfield when it's here, and other big ones, and they never really come to the small
We're
grassroots
not even on the radar.
festivals.
Nothing. We're nobody.
Yeah.
Who are we?
Yeah.
All they need to do is dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And it's not much deeper.
Yeah. And there's
It's
so
here to be found.
many.
It's not a secret.
Yeah, there's so many good bands to be found out there, but if they're not going to pick them up and help them or talk about them, it's so difficult for bands to head forward. I mean, where do they go without any support from them?
To each other, and I'll quite happily go on record and say that as far as we're concerned, that stops with our generation. If anyone likes what we're doing and wants to know how we've done it, come and talk to us.
Yeah.
We'll share anything with you if we can do something to help you.
As others before us have shared with us.
Exactly.
We're lucky enough to be involved in this scene at the moment, and there are hundreds of really good bands who absolutely have the same ethic, the same work ethic as us, and
consummate professionals.
And so there's enough of us out there. Surely, strength in numbers.
I mean, one thing I heard today was like a band share. So if somebody from one end of the country has a gig, they'll invite someone from down here to go and play, and then somebody from down here, they got a gig, to reciprocate to get them.
Yeah,
that's quite an interesting
idea. That idea
idea.
has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not strangers to that. And there are bands that we speak of.
Yeah.
Bands that we play with now that we're doing that with.
Yeah. That's good.
In the
If it's
coming
working,
weeks.
that's
We've got
Yeah.
friends coming to join us from up in the northeast, in Nottingham, Old Corpse Road.
Oh yes, yeah, they.
Wonderful, and some great bands from down on the south coast. We've got Mordrake and King Goat coming to join us in Wolverhampton, and it's great. And what a privilege to be able to pull in all of this talent from around the country, and just get out there and be part of this amazing community.
Yeah. We just need to open the big boys' eyes to what is going on.
Well, your Metallicas and other bands, big bands, they're not going to last forever, and it's proved it in the last sort of 8 months, with so many of them sort of popping their clogs, so to speak, that they are, they're all quite old. It was the 70s,
and that's
40 odd years ago.
But the reason those bands are so big is because the generation before them invested.
Yes,
they invested the time, they invested the money.
That's the key.
Okay, and then it stopped. And then it stopped. There's a massive generation gap between the upcoming bands at the moment and the bands that trod that path before them.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. That's what's weakened the scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the underground is still alive and strong because we still understand the need to support each other.
Thriving, not alive and strong.
I think that's also sort of like where
Probably
you
the best
guys are lucky, because a lot of bands sometimes can be let down by the venues themselves. If they don't have the right technical support in the venue, it doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
So anybody that's there watching that show can't get a real sense of what it is like, what the band do sound like.
What they can sound like.
What they should sound like.
Yeah. So really, bands now have to be professional in themselves, because they have to be their own manager, accountant, technical. They've got to do everything. Where before,
you do everything yourself. Everything.
Where before it used to go to a record company and they sorted that out for you. I mean, this is what it's down to, and some of the bands can handle it and have them, like you haven't given up, even though you didn't have a drummer. It says you still kept going with the belief and that you knowledge that you can still do this. But there's some bands, give them a year and they're gone. They just can't handle
Which is a shame.
just the
Mega
you know
talent,
the
mega talent
playing.
just
Yeah.
disappears.
It's everything else that goes with it. Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, and it is hard work, and it is just perseverance, really. But like what Ben was saying, you know, come and speak to other bands, ask them how they do it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what the young bands that and these bands that are in danger of fizzling out need to understand, is that they're not in this alone. We are a community.
Yeah.
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 There's enough people that will guide you. Sorry.
Yeah, he's boring swinging. I love
I'll
it.
get that.
Absolutely love it.
I'll get that in a minute.
It's going to look even worse if you
What?
delve in there.
Get them,
It's
to
just
join
gonna-
in with the, get them to join in with the interview.
No, I know it is, and she won't want to say anything. If you're watching, Dawn, I know that's you. I'll ring you back in a minute.
You can feel the rumbling in his.
I made the lead blush.
My final question is another random one. Do you play Pokemon Go?
Absolutely not.
No.
Liar.
Yeah, get that guilty look off your face.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I played Ingress when it came out, which is the platform that it was based on.
Yeah.
How about you, Go?
No.
How about you, Jonathan? Doesn't even know what Pokemon is, look. I do, and I don't.
The concept's quite good, where it gets people to go and find and takes them to places. So I thought maybe an app which is similar to that, which they go tells them to go where bands are playing. Instead of that, it's be like there's a band.
That's a concept that was
Yeah.
somebody was trying to do that a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's already.
Sounds like it's a concept
That-
that I've
yeah.
heard of.
Yeah, I can't
So
remember
that would be
who or
sort
where,
of
but
based
That
like
had
something on
conversations as
Pokemon
well.
Go that
Yeah.
you would have like this pop up. So you go to this venue and there's this band, and it gives you details of, you know,
Yeah.
what's happening there.
Isn't that called Bands in Town?
No, because it'd be
No.
if you've got
No,
no.
because
somebody was designing an app, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was.
Sort of like, it was in conjunction with Facebook. So you go on Facebook one night and it'll get your location and then tell you, just give you a pop-up notification
What's
telling you
around.
what bands are playing, depending on what you've
Like.
what you've put in as your
Yeah.
your taste.
Yeah.
It may already exist. It may have been done, but I haven't
Yeah.
heard of it.
I was
I
thinking-
certainly remember it being
yeah.
spoken about.
I was thinking more along with Pokemon Go. You get your phone, you go outside, and it'll pick up somewhere and say, "Here is so and so playing," and their music. Or you go somewhere down another road, and
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
so and so. It's the same concept, getting people out, but it's also giving them information of if they're not sure what to do on a
And build
a
in
night,
some of that
then-
urban mythology that comes out around it as well.
Yeah,
Like
Could do.
you're just walking past the venue where
yeah,
Alice Cooper supposedly destroyed a chicken. Well, it's actually his audience, but his publicist told him to take credit for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
great. That's a nice little tidbit.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my phone and it's like, oh, that's an interesting place. That's an
Yeah.
interesting part of my musical history there.
yeah, different things like that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for giving me some of your time, and lady, sorry,
Finally.
and not Jonathan.
I'm not Jonathan. Yeah.
And really looking forward to seeing you again tonight. It's been a while, and I
forward to
am
getting on
really,
stage.
really looking forward to it. So thank you very much for giving me some of your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
All right, cheers. Thank you. Thank you.